Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. We're going to be in Dungeon Crawl Classics for this video. We're continuing the combat rule series of the Dungeon Crawl Classic series. We're going to look at other combat rules for this video. So let me turn to the next page. Okay, this one's going to be a bit of a longer video. There's a lot of individual other combat rules and paragraphs in this one. So, the first one is ability loss. Some attacks cause ability loss. A target reduced to 0 personality or intelligence is babbling idiot, incapacitated or incapable of fending himself. A target reduced to 0 strength or agility is incapable of movement. A target reduced to 0 stamina faints and remains unconscious. A target reduced to 0 luck suffers such constant bizarre mishaps that he is effectively unable to accomplish anything. Ability loss heals over time, as described on page 94. Catching fire. A character who catches fire suffers 1d6 damage per round. He can put out the fire by spending an entire round doing stop, drop, and roll, which grants him an opportunity to make a DC 10 reflex save to put out the fire. Certain spells and monster attacks may produce hotter or more dangerous flames that cause more damage or are more difficult to put out. Charge. A reckless character can use one action to declare a charge. In order to charge, he must move at least half his speed. A charging character gains +2 bonus to attack rolls but suffers -2 penalty to AC until his next turn. Me and my friends always add +2 to the damage as well with the attack because you have that more momentum when you hit. But we've done that since 3rd edition D&D. Dropping a torch. A torch dropped on the ground has a 50% chance of being extinguished. And that's no different than 3rd edition D&D and I believe the rules for Pathfinder. Falling. Falling causes 1d6 damage per 10 feet fallen. For every damage die that comes up a 6, the victim breaks a bone. For each broken bone, the character permanently loses 1 point of strength or agility, player's choice. The affected limb, rib, or vertebrae never heals quite right, and it affects the character in some fashion from then on. So a limp, maybe you have a hard time breathing from now on, and so on and so forth. And I like that rule for falling because in 3rd edition Pathfinder and 5th edition D&D they don't have broken bone rules for fall damage. So I think I'm going to take that and use that in my games from now on. Firing into melee. Combat is a constant swirl of activity. A character who uses a bow, crossbow, dart, thrown dagger, or other missile fire weapon against an opponent engaged in melee may hit an ally. If the attack misses the intended target, there is a 50% chance it hits an ally engaged in melee. Determine that ally randomly. Then roll the attack roll against the ally's armor class. So that's no different than any other firing into a melee combat rule. So I like it, it's pretty consistent. Grappling. Each party makes opposed attack rolls, adding the higher of their agility or strength modifier. Monsters add their hit dice instead. Okay, so that's good to know. An attacker twice the opponent's size adds +4 to the opposed roll. An attacker triple the opponent's size adds +8 to the opposed roll. An attacker quadruple the opponent's size adds +16 to the opposed roll, and so on. If the attacker wins the opposed roll, he has grappled and pinned his opponent. If the attacker loses the opposed roll, the grapple fails. A pinned target cannot move or take any significant action until he frees himself from the pin. This is done by succeeding in another grapple check as above. Melee attacks against a grappled creature are treated similar to firing a missile into melee. Any failed melee attacks against a grappled creature has a 50% chance of wounding the ally who is maintaining the pin. Recovering armor. When someone is slain, the armor he wears ends up pierced, dented, and otherwise compromised. Armor recovered from a fallen foe or ally has a 25% chance of being useless. It can be repaired by an armorer typically for about 1/4 to 1/2 the original cost of the armor. Demi-humans are of an unusual physiognomy and cannot wear armor sized for a human. If not otherwise specified, there is a 75% chance that a randomly discovered armor is human-sized. Recovering missile fire weapons. Characters can recover missile weapons that miss their target. There is a 50% chance that recovered arrows, sling stones, javelins, and other weapons are destroyed. Otherwise, they can be reused. Subdual damage. You can use the flat of your sword to subdue an opponent you wish to capture alive. If a character is proficient in one of the following weapons, he can inflict subdual damage with it: swords, axes, clubs, spears, and staves. There is no attack penalty, but subdual damage is 1 die lower than normal for the weapon, according to the dice chain. An opponent brought to 0 hit points via subdual damage collapses unconscious. That's good to know. And that seems different than how it was tracked in 3rd edition D&D. How you did it in 3rd edition D&D is you would take the damage you had is taken from the top of your hit points going down, and then the subdual damage is adding from 0 going up. And when that exceeds the subdual damage, like when the subdual damage exceeds the current hit points, is when you knocked them out. Unarmed combat. Unarmed characters inflict subdual damage of 1d3 plus strength modifier. And that's the last of the other combat rules. Pretty interesting. A few things that I could pull out and use for my games to make them more interesting, because all my players, I'd say at least 80% of my players are very experienced players. And if I introduced a new rule and they agreed to it and wanted to use it consistently, then it would become just part of our gaming group culture, house rules. And what was the rule that I liked the most? What one was that? That was the breaking bones while falling was the ones that I liked the most. I like the recovering armor rules because that gives you very good rules on finding armor in an adventure of, say, better, couple steps up, better in armor quality as far as AC it could give you, and then it might not fit you at all, or it might be so damaged it can't be reused, but otherwise an armorer could use it and modify it a little bit and get it to fit you well. So I like that rule as well. Let me know which ones were your favorites in the comments below, or which ones surprised you. Until we all game again, guys.